Heyo everybody, and welcome back to another DRG video. Today we're going to be discussing the new mission, the Sabotage. Espionage or industrial sabotage, that's what it's called, that's right. And we're going to be talking about or discussing the best builds for each class. There's some that are going to be very general and being like, hey, these weapons are good and these options are good because, to be honest, as long as you bring something opposite or something that's complementary with your other weapon, it's completely fine. And then there's some things that you need to take this. Like for Driller, for instance, the best build is, in my opinion, it's this right here. Everything on this screen is what I would take. Vampire is not really a requirement, I just like it, but Resupplier is definitely super beneficial for the Caretaker fight on all classes. That is the one perk that I will say that is, you need it, is Resupplier. Full damage satchel charges is also good. Of course, you can go with not full damage and take 2. This, I believe, just makes it so... No, it's just more damage and more damage. Okay, so you can take 4 of them and be fine. I just take full damage because I drop 1 and half the vent HP is dead. In any case, the reason why this is you need to take Crisper is because robots die at full heat gauge, and this specific Crisper flamethrower build is the best one for it. You get 20-meter range, which means sniper turrets can die fairly quickly. They have a very low heat gauge. And then anything else, you have 20 meters, so they're not getting out of your range anytime soon. And then for the pesky arms and all that, you have heat radiance for all that. Very, very important. Now, his secondary first, his grenades. His grenades are limited basically to just impact axes, because HEs are not that good for Caretaker fight, and they're not good for the robots because they're fairly mobile or flying. So you're limited to axes because they're also immune to poison. Of course, you can also take poison to deal with the Paxi waves, which is fine. Your Driller, you can do that. But the one that is going to be... you can take whatever you want, is your secondary. I personally will take a build that wants to do Thin Containment Field, because Thin Containment Field does quite a number on the Caretaker. That's what I'm going to bring, is EPC for Thin Containment Field, or full auto Sabotage with Weak Point. It's not going to be very good for the vents, but I have satchel charges for the vents, and other teammates for the vents, so it's whatever. It's also, you can walk up to it and power attack it. It's fine. This is the Driller build that I use and recommend. Moving on to Engineer. Engineer is actually my standard Loki build, because Loki's a freaking great gun and I love it. And also, Breach Cutter is good for the swarms, for Haxi, and Loki's very good at dealing with Caretaker, and plus you can fire Breach Cutter at the vents and hit 2 of them at a time. It's great. This entire build, I would change out one of these perks for Resupplier, but you don't. You basically need Resupplier for this. It's not a question. But this Engi build focuses more on dealing with Haxi as well, and Loki is entirely for the Caretaker fight. It's a good Engineer build. Of course, you can take hyper propellant and mini shells or something, as long as you can offset the negative of hyper propellant for the Haxi fights with your primary or grenades, you'll be fine. Hyper propellant is a fantastic option for this. Magnetic pellet alignment is also a fantastic option for this. Stubby, I don't think Stubby is going to be very good. Full electric Stubby is going to be fantastic at dealing with the ads with the other robots, but for dealing with the actual Caretaker, it's immune to the shock status, so conductive bullets won't be doing anything, and you don't have any hollow point for the eyes. But that's fine, you have hyper propellant for the eyes or something like that. So just use Sabotage or Stubby for other robots, and then your turrets can take care of shredders and all sorts of things. You're going to be having some issues with the sniper turrets, but you can always just hyper-propellant them. Fat Boy, I don't think Fat Boy is going to be very good because... I don't know, man. It's a weird one. You're going to have to angle yourself to hit all the vents at once. So you're going to have to angle yourself, probably stand on the bridge you want to build for Driller, so he can throw his satchel charges, and stand on that bridge and hit the direct middle of Caretaker. You'll kind of suffer for the robots because you can't really deal with them very well, but Fat Boy is a okay option for dealing with the vents. Driller will probably be more dealing with the vents, but you can as well. Moving on to Gunner. Gunner is the one that is possibly the most flexible with what he's going to be dealing, because you can bring Hurricane, you can bring Leadstorm, you can bring AC. AC has to be modified for single target damage, so Big Bertha is a really good option for it. But, like, yeah, Gunner is just generally good. Magic Bullets is going to be helping for the Haxi fights. It's not going to be at all any useful for the Caretaker fights, but some people need to deal with the Haxi fights, and Magic Bullets does that, and your primary has enough ammo to deal with the vents and the eyes and all that. Sticky grenades are going to be good for generally anything that the game throws at you, and basically, you can't really build Gunner in a wrong way unless you double down on Swarm Clear. And then you're good on the Haxi fight, and then you're not going to be good at all during anything else. That's generally just a Gunner thing, but BRT isn't going to be as good against most of the robots because the robots incentivize precision. So Bulldog's definitely going to win out in most cases against it. Of course, full damage lead spray, if you jump right up to the eye hole and like stand right below it, you can probably melt that eye in half a second. But that's specifically doubling down on the eye portion of the fight, which you probably don't want to do. 6-shooter, homebrew rounds, elephant rounds are all going to be pretty good for this. Maybe compact mags as well. Are all going to be fairly decent at dealing with robots and the eye and the vents. Really, there's no bad way to build out Gunner for this. There's always going to be something that you're good at during it. Moving on to Scout. Scout is... So, AI Stability Engine is going to be very good for this mission, and any M1 build is also going to be very good for this mission. Yes, I do mean Supercooling Chamber. Any M1 build is going to be good for it because it incentivizes precision and all that. The only build that I consider good for GK is AI Stability Engine. And then Drac, I wouldn't bring Drac on this mission. It doesn't have the accuracy to contend with other hit scan weapons that you can bring because things are flying around, the Caretaker itself is spinning. Of course, you can deal with the vents perfectly fine with Drac, and also whenever it's stationary with the eye hole. You can build Drac for that, that's fine. It's just that there's better options than Drac at it. And then for your secondary is going to be dealing with the robot specifically. And the best way to deal with that is embedded detonators. Embedded detonators will deal with robots, it will deal with any high priority target that the game could throw at you during the Haxi fights. IFGs will also help with the Haxi fights. It won't help you at all during the Caretaker fight, but none of Scout's grenades will help you at all during the Caretaker fight, so you might as well take IFGs to defend from an angle instead of an insta, oh shit, Haxi's being attacked by a bunch of bugs, throw a cryo grenade at it. IFGs are just going to be better. And then embedded detonators are going to be fantastic for dealing with the arms, the freaking robots, and not Caretaker at all because it doesn't actually affect Caretaker for some reason. And it doesn't even matter about precision. Yeah, your bullets are going to be doing 20% less damage, but they don't have an internal resistance, so they're going to take a lot of damage from it. In any case, that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed the background, which is probably me playing Driller on it and walking through bugs or whatever the hell. In any case, that's that. These are the builds that I recommend, which is... I'll give you all a second to look at them, and we'll fade to blackness.